These are the people you represent, these children, and the people hired to provide their education. Not power brokers, not businessmen with their own agendas, not the mayor, not the members of the city council, not your own personal egos or desires, not disgruntled former employees. These are the people. I spent my life with these children, and I love them. And I love the school system. These students in our schools and those who give themselves to teach them are whom you are to serve. And I pray each of you will serve them well.
The other thing I was praying about this morning is let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O God, my rock and my redeemer. I want our words, my words, to bring those of peace and of healing. I want them also, though, to be words of truth. Mr. Carter, you spoke very wisely at our last meeting when you said, let's stick to the facts and let's keep away from personal attacks. That's not what we're about. But the facts are tough. The facts are very difficult. As was mentioned last time, the fact is that we've had the resignation for the first time in our history of the superintendent. We've had the resignation of our senior-most board member, and we've had the resignation of the board attorney all occurring on the same night. And it's unprecedented. It's disturbing for those of us who want things to go well. It's my understanding that all three resigned in large part because of their interactions and the actions of Mr. Cotter and others on this board. And if I'm wrong, I hope they'll speak up now. Mr. Stewart, Dr. Milner, Ted. Fact number 2, our senior-most board member was not nominated for the position for the first time that we're aware of. Unprecedented. The other thing that was a little disturbing is that not one of the other members of the board would second the motion. So it was moved by acclamation, which is the rule by which we operate. But it was a little disconcerting to know that there wasn't the unanimous support for that move. And fact number 3 was about the evaluation of our superintendent. We bring in a doctorate level, professional, trained expert to evaluate our superintendent. And Dr. Wright gave Dr. Milner his highest rating. And congratulations, you certainly deserve that. In fact, Dr. Wright's quote was, "This is one of the most outstanding young superintendents in the school systems in the state of Alabama." And you deserve that comment as well. The current administrators, teachers, faculty, support staff also have the opportunity to evaluate him and match that rating. Unfortunately, it was our school board whose rating fell far below the standard given by the other members of staff. And that was worrisome. The grades were far more average than outstanding. What's worrisome to me is that there is a disparity between your opinion of what a good superintendent is and what our educators and an independent consultant feel is a good superintendent. And the next thing that you'll be tasked with is choosing a good superintendent. My concern is if you don't think Aaron Milner is a good superintendent, who are we going to find? It's certainly not personal, and it shouldn't be, but based on the facts at hand, the desires of the citizens, the passion of those who've shown up here, I would respectfully and very humbly ask that you resign your position to allow
I'm a product of the Enterprise School System, an EHS graduate, wife of retired EHS principal, mother of 2 children who attended Enterprise schools for 12 years each, and a teacher in the system for 22 years, retiring 10 years ago. I'm speaking tonight because I want to understand what is happening to this system that I love so much and have known for such a long time. I've prayed long and hard about some of the things that I will say, and this is difficult for me because I do not like confrontation and I do not like dissension. So please forgive me if my remarks are accusatory or if I seem judgmental. I
I'm not trying to be that way, but I and many others, the ones who've already spoken and other people I've talked to, are simply trying to learn what has brought us to this point. There are rumors and accusations that have been swirling around for at least 5 years, and certainly more so in the last few weeks. And I want to address some of these points so perhaps the board can better understand the concerns of the citizens. Some of you seem surprised at our concern. First, I want to say to Mrs. Jones and Mr. Brown that no one has accused you of not doing your job as board members. You both vehemently defended yourselves at last Wednesday's meeting, stating that you had supported Dr. Milner at board meetings. But surely you don't think that's the problem. That's naive. If anything, the issues at hand have to do with a board member or members being overzealous and perhaps overstepping boundaries set forth by board policy. As was stated to you, Mrs. Jones, by Dr. Milner at last Wednesday's meeting, it isn't about what's going on at the meetings, but what's been going on behind closed doors, in private conversations, in phone calls, and in emails. Now, that being said, I want to address 2 events that did occur at last Wednesday's meeting that I feel are good examples of why this group is here tonight and why we are so concerned. They have already been mentioned, so I'll be very brief about this. At last Wednesday's meeting, Mr. Cotter came prepared to present a proposal that would terminate Dr. Milner's contract immediately without pay. This proposal was not drawn up by the board lawyer, which was probably one reason he later resigned. Although thankfully this did not become a topic of debate at the meeting, believe me, it did not go unnoticed. The community of Enterprise is actually getting a very, very high return on its investment without much support from downtown. And speaking of downtown, it seems that the board's loyalties have shifted from children to politics. A little over 6 years ago, Enterprise suffered a devastating loss of life and property. But it seems to me that we have lost much, much more than that. The spirit of cooperation among city leaders, the board, and the superintendent's office, gone. The pride this community once had in our leaders because they did work together for the good of our town, our children, our school system, gone. And why? I would like to think, and this is coming from my heart of hearts, I want to think that your actions have been for what you think are good reasons. But for the life of me, I cannot imagine what those good reasons may be. The article in today's Ledger names financial differences as the problem, but I don't completely buy that. Something has to cause even those differences. And the only thing that comes to my mind and the minds of others I have spoken with is a desire for power, control, maybe mixed in with a little jealousy. And if this is what this is all about, then again, shame on you. Most of our leaders, many of our leaders, both city and board members, are products of this system. Not only that, but you have children and grandchildren who are part of this system. And yet you are destroying what was once a model school system. You have driven away an outstanding young man of character and integrity who had a vested interest in our system because he was a product of it. He was a student here. He was a teacher, a coach, a principal, and a fine superintendent. And he's gone. Brought about the resignations of a respected senior board member and a fine young lawyer. You have chosen to disregard the traditions of this system, and you have lost the respect and trust of much of this community, including myself.